All right, welcome to your physical geography lab course. This video can provide you with an overview of how you are going to be expected to work through each module, making sure that you see and access the lab exercises before you get to the graded labs. And as always, when working in Canvas, you're going to be able to access all of the modules, which will be in sequential order, by clicking on your Modules tab. This will open up a page where you can be able to see modules 1, modules 2, modules 3 as you keep going down. So an overview for this module and things that you will be needing to look out for in every module beyond this one is that it will typically start with some form of lab presentation or supplemental reading depending on the exercise that you are going to be required to do for this week. Important to note is that when an exercise is labeled with a number, like you see here, practice exercise 1, that means that exercise 1 is going to be found in your lab manual. That is the physical lab manual that you hopefully should have picked up. It's required for this course. So anytime there's an exercise with a number, that will be associated with your lab manual. If there's an exercise with an A, that means that it is a lab exercise that has come from outside of the lab manual and will not be located in your lab manual. There will always be supplemental reading that will go along and provide you with supplemental information that you will need in order to complete exercise A or B or C anytime that there's an exercise that is not labeled with a number. Again, in order to get to graded lab, you will have to go sequentially through here. So what you're always going to want to do is go ahead and start at the top of the module. I've gone ahead and opened up another tab. This is going to first start you off with a PowerPoint. Again, typically you will always start with a PowerPoint, but what is most important about this is that when you click on that first tab, the most important button you're going to have is going to be that next button. Before I click that though, I'm just going to open up the PowerPoint that I have in another window to show you that generally each module is going to have this additional information. So for Lab 1, you're responsible for these two various items, and you're going to be able to go through here, and I will provide you with additional short presentations about the information that you're going to need in order to succeed on these labs. Sometimes there will be a video, which you will also be able to find in the supplemental information as you continue to work through the modules. So jumping back to the modules, this is the presentation, right? And you'll be able to go through there just like how I showed you. And once you're done with the presentation or listening to me present about the information you need, you can go ahead and hit next. Also crucial to understand is that this is for exercise A, so that means that this is supplemental reading not found in your lab manual, and this is going to be all the information you're going to need to be able to answer this. And so as you saw from the PowerPoint, there is a video, and this will give you a better idea of the information that you will need to know in order to work through the labs. So if videos are posted, you will be able to find them in the supplemental readings. Once you've done that, go ahead and hit next, and now we should come to a practice exercise. And what's really important to understand about the practice exercise is that you are going to have 10 attempts to do them. The practice exercise is going to still be graded, and while it does not count as your lab grade, it will count towards your participation grade. The reason you have 10 attempts is to make sure that you fully understand what you have to do before you get to the graded lab. This is more or less an insurance policy to make sure that you can succeed on the graded lab once you get there. As such, you will retain the highest score that you get. So even if you need all 10 attempts in order to get that score, you will be able to do well on the graded lab. Also, you will not be able to move beyond the practice lab unless you reach a certain score. So sometimes the practice labs are going to require you to get full points, 5 out of 5. Other times you might have to score 8 out of 10 in order to make sure that you understand all of the information required of you from the practice labs. So if you are clicking on the practice lab and you hit submit and you're not able to go forward, it's because you have missed too many questions in order for you to progress. And once you're done with the practice lab, you'll be able to go to the next practice. And this is going to be exercise A, meaning that this is all information provided from the supplemental reading. Same thing. It will count towards your participation. You will have 10 attempts to do it. You will get the highest grade that you achieve. And if you are required to score 8 points out of 8 points, or maybe 10 points, that is going to be the minimum amount of points that you need in order to move forward. Once you have scored the score that you need in order to progress, you will be able to get to the graded lab. And this is the important part. You only get, this should actually be 1 attempt. So you will not get more than 1 attempt. I apologize. I will go ahead and adjust that. You will have 1 attempt to score the highest grade that you can get. So once you are confident that you have understood all of the supplemental reading, you've looked at your lab manual, you've looked at the supplemental reading that I provide, you've worked through the practice labs and you understand everything, then you are ready to do the graded lab, and you will have to submit everything by Sunday night before midnight. Everything's going to be due at midnight every single week. And this is more or less how you're going to work through it. Basically, as soon as something is unlocked, you're going to be able to move forward through that. So you can see that generally it's going to be 2 modules for every module 1. So for your first week of class, you're going to be responsible for module 1, lab 1, with these 2 exercises, as well as module 1, lab 2, which just like that is going to start with a presentation. It's going to start with supplemental content. You'll have to work through this sequentially to go to the practice lab, where you have to score a minimum amount of points before you can move on to the graded lab. That is more or less the order that you're going to have to go through this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through Canvas inbox. But again, this provides you with an overview of how to work your way through the class, what is expected of you, and how to hopefully succeed on the graded labs.